Thank you everyone so much for joining myself and Alex today. We're going to be doing a Thrive LXP product tour of the Krispy Kreme site. And we're going to try and bring learning technologies to you at home, seeing as it couldn't happen this month, and show you what's new and all of the endless capabilities of Thrive LXP and our content club. So to get started, Alex, it'd be good if you could introduce yourself and let everyone know who you are.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. Thanks for having me as well. My name's Alex Bailey. I'm the Learning and Development Partner at Krispy Kreme. I've worked here for around about three and a half years, which I keep totaling up at the moment and thinking it's like 2 years, but no, three and a half years. We launched Thrive sort of back end of September. So looking forward to talking you through kind of where we've got with it so far and some of the things that we've been using it for.
Thanks, Alex. Really excited to hear more about it. And just quickly, I'm Georgina, so I'm a business development manager at Thrive, and I will be hosting the session today. So to get started, I think it would be good to hear from you, Alex, in terms of, obviously you are using Thrive now, you've got that within the business. So how did that come about, and why did you decide to move to a new platform like Thrive?
Yeah, so we kind of had a bit of a relationship with Thrive even before getting the LXP in. So we were using the off-the-shelf content from Thrive, and that's kind of how our relationship started. We've always been quite a small L&D team at Krispy Kreme, so the ability to kind of create a lot of content in-house is a little bit tricky. So using the off-the-shelf stuff was kind of where we began. We did have an LMS of sorts. It came part of the HRIS system that we were using at the time. But it was just pretty limited in its functionality, I guess is the best way of putting it. We didn't really have the visibility in terms of reports. We couldn't really structure training and learning how we wanted to. And it was just, generally a little bit limited in its offering. And then because we already had that relationship with Thrive, we knew that Thrive offered an LXP. Thought we'd kind of take the next step and join up and launch the LXP at Krispy Kreme, which we did.
Amazing, and it's been great ever since, right?
Yeah, it's really I'm amazed how well it's kind of taken off. To be honest with you, it's kind of particularly kind of back end of this year, of last year, excuse me, and beginning of this year. It's really kind of becoming embedded in the way that we work now. And I'm even like sat in the office today and I'm overhearing people having conversations about, well, how could this fit into Thrive, and where's this going to fit into, without me pushing or steering. It's just kind of happening. So it's living and breathing now, which is great.
Yeah, that's really good. And so just on that then, what did the L&D sort of format and structure look like before you used Thrive, and how has that changed for you with the use of an LXP?
Yeah, so we've always had, kind of since I worked in L&D at Krispy Kreme, we've always had quite I guess I kind of describe it as an old school view of learning, which is, if you're in a classroom, you're learning, but if you're behind, talking to, a peer or your manager about something, that's not technically learning, So it was a really kind of old school view of this classroom based learning. So really wanted to try and begin to flip that. So, we're all aware of 70-20-10. Kind of needed a tool that would support us with that mode of training. So that's kind of really where it kicked off for us. Was again, we're not a massive L&D team. We weren't going to be able to be running classroom sessions. We also know that that's not how people learn. It suits some styles of learning and for some content you need to deliver, but actually quite a lot of it is on the job training, this kind of social interaction and collaboration. So we just really wanted a system that supported that. And I guess the other thing is, small L&D team, we're not SMEs in all parts of our business. We've got retail, we've got manufacturing, we've got logistics as well. I'm certainly not an expert in any of those areas, so kind of having a system that allows people to for me to collaborate with people, but SMEs to collaborate with each other as well. It's just a bit of a game changer for us. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, well, that's really great and useful to set the scene. So I think without further ado, Alex, we'll jump into the platform, and I think everyone will be keen to hear how you guys are actually using Thrive, and all the different features that you've been getting used to and sharing with everyone. So hopefully everyone can see my screen okay with the Krispy Kreme homepage. Can you see that, Alex?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, great. Okay, so I think a good place to start is essentially this homepage area, and how sort of, if you could just talk us through how you've set this up, what are kind of the key areas of focus for your homepage, and how it's evolved over time, if it has changed over time.
Yeah, definitely. So I think probably one of the nice things about Thrive, the bit that I love the most, is the fact that I changed this last night, for example, so I can come in at any time and I can adapt this, and if there's something we really want to push out, we can change the layout of this homepage ourselves at any time. Again, we didn't have that with our old MMS, we had to log a ticket to get anything kind of minor change. So you've got a lot of control kind of within your own hands. So I guess working from the top, you've got the campaign banner there. So we're quite strongly using this at the moment mainly for our own kind of internal campaigns. So we've got Valentine's Day coming up at the moment. There's quite a bit of content in there about how to make the products that are kind of within that range. So we use that a lot, the campaign banner a lot for that. But it can be used for kind of social awareness things as well. Mental health awareness week or Pride, for example. It's something that we certainly are looking at getting a little bit better at using it for, and that's our plan kind of going into this year. But yeah, campaign banner is just a great way to grab attention, and I think you can agree it's quite exciting as soon as you log on to the site, which is amazing. Nice. We've also got, because I'm very well behaved and I do all of my essential training straight away. But we've set it up at the moment because we're food industry. There is a lot of compliance for us. Food safety and health and safety that we, by law we just have to do. So it's really important. So we have our essential training block right at the top there as well. So actually above what's new. So for anybody who has just joined, that's where they're going to find all of their kind of new starter training, but also all of their compliance bits and pieces. And again, I like the way that once that's complete, it disappears off the homepage. So it's kind of it's always alive, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess just making sure it's relevant to everyone. So you're just seeing what you need to see.
Absolutely, yeah. It's it's by role, and I think we're going to go into that a little bit later by looking at some of the pathways and things. But we can make it specific, depending on where you are in the business. And then how to thrive. So this is something that we set up that was kind of really near the top. We've still got it on our homepage because we're only 4 months into being live. We are still getting some questions about how to use the system. So really wanted to make sure that people had somewhere to go to try and understand how to use the system, but we've also added some stuff in there about 70-20-10. So the whole idea of what we're trying to do here and kind of how Thrive supports it is thrown into there as well. Recommended for you. So again, this is just another reason why I love Thrive, because it works off suggesting content that you've said that you're interested in. So it's really kind of smart in that way of understanding what you're after and then suggesting content that goes with that. And then questions. So this was kind of, I think we did this sort of the day before we launched or something. So added in a questions block. So really wanted to encourage this idea that, and I guess, this is the main difference between an LXP and an LMS, whereas, with an LXP, you've got far more interaction with employees than you would with an LMS, and an LMS, you're just pushing stuff out and people do it. Whereas an LXP, you've got the ability to do things like this. So ask questions, you can,
I love how someone's already asking how many days into the business.
Yeah, but they're not always learning related. But most of the time they are. But it's great, and we can put people directly in touch with experts through this as well. Yeah. So I really love that. And then again, just experts and collaborators at the bottom. So it is just a social platform. You can follow people. It's going to suggest people that you could follow as well. And people are getting quite into the amount of followers that they have and things on Thrive, which is pretty cool. I learned the other day I've got more followers on Thrive than I do on my Instagram account. I think that's embarrassing for me, but whatever.
Oh no, I think that just shows how popular you are at work.
Yeah,
great. Okay, so that's cool. That's really useful. And I know you mentioned and you touched on sort of role specific content and how you guys are using that. So one of the things that we talked about is pathways and how you've made some role specific pathways, and we've got one of those open here. Could you just talk to us a bit more about that and how you're using that sort of feature?
Yeah, so this is my favorite feature on Thrive. I use this all the time. So it's basically it's a way of kind of structuring lots of connected pieces of training content, and you can put them in a journey or a pathway. Most of the time, for what we use it for, it's usually in some kind of order. So we use it mostly for onboarding. So this one's for our guys in production. So the team that actually make the donuts. This is what effectively their first 90 days looks like. So everything you can see there kind of supports what they're learning on the job. So this is kind of moving into that almost like 20% bit of the 70-20-10. We've just never had anything before where once you'd learned it on the job, you could then go back, in your own time, watch a few videos or read a quick how-to guide and kind of remind yourself of what you'd learned that day. So we absolutely love. I absolutely love this as a feature. For me, it just really kind of is a nice way to structure the training. So I mean,
sorry, you go.
No, I was just going to say we had quite a lot of work to do at Krispy Kreme, because we didn't with our old LMS, we didn't have tons of content that was kind of specific to us. The machines that we use and some of the equipment that we use is quite unique to Krispy Kreme. So we had to create all of it in our kind of during our implementation, which is a lot, quite a bit to do, but it's quite video heavy, which I like. Short 2-3 minute videos of broken down into chapters. But I think that's just kind of the world we live in now, isn't it? Of YouTube and any kind of social media is quite sort of video heavy and quite easy to digest.
Definitely. And I was just going to say, I really like the feature where you can associate experts to the pathway as well. And I can see that you guys have used that as well. And I know that you can associate different experts to different sections of a pathway as well. So really helpful to just point your colleagues to the right direction of who else to speak to if they've got further questions, I guess.
Yeah. And, it supports this idea of a learning culture where you're bringing in the experts so they can kind of immediately speak with the rest of the team. And, not everything then kind of comes through L&D to then point them on to an expert. They can just, interact with an expert straight through this, which is amazing.
Yeah, nice. Okay. And then sticking with the kind of content theme, I know you guys are using that user-generated content sort of side of things, and Thrive really supports you with that. This is an example the one that you sent me, Alex, of I think some user generated content. Could you just talk us through how you are using that across your organization and how it's helping, I guess, you specifically as an L&D team?
Yeah, so as I said earlier, we're, I think like most companies nowadays, we are a relatively small L&D team. We are a team of 4 at the moment for a company that has 1,700 odd employees. So relatively small in size compared to the business. So, we have to use SMEs, and we have to use other people in the business to help us create content. Otherwise, we just wouldn't be able to work at the pace that we need to. So this is just an example of, one of the systems that we use within logistics. So working with the subject matter expert there, just wanted to do a really short, quick video on equipment issuing and how you do that. It's 2.5 minutes long. Scott is a guy, and he has just gone crazy with this recently. He's creating videos kind of left, right, and center. But it's, for us, as I say, it's just a way of kind of getting the experts to create the content, which is always what you want. But it's also allowing us to create at speed as well. So doing something similar as well with manufacturing at the moment. But it's almost like just passing it over to those guys to help. Of course, we're there to talk through kind of what's the best delivery method. So for some things, it might not be a screen recording or a video. It might be a short how-to guide. It might be a short session. And that's kind of our role, kind of as L&D now that we've got Thrive.
Yeah, love that. And another piece of user-generated content, which I really, really love, is this one with the elephant latte. And actually, I was looking earlier after you sent this, and it looks like Tammy's got a bit of a name for herself as the latte art specialist.
She is absolutely the queen of latte art. This is absolutely amazing. I could never learn to do that. That is absolutely amazing. She's got she can do a teddy bear as well, which is equally as impressive. But again, I just love this. This shows, it's just quickly filmed on a phone. It doesn't have to be super professional, the stuff that you're putting together. Again, think about YouTube. Quite a lot of the stuff we watch is filmed on a phone, and we're all quite happy with that as long as you can take out what you need from it. And it's just I love it, and that's just the joy of user-generated content. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think this one also really showcases the sort of some of the social features of Thrive as well, because there's so many comments and feedback and people getting involved with this. So have you seen much change from sort of the social side of things since you've been using Thrive?
Yeah, massively. Yeah. So again, our old LMS didn't have this function whatsoever, and it's actually amazing, since we've added kind of all this content, it's amazing to see, sometimes people will come and say, okay, didn't know that's how we're meant to be doing it. So you can, and then that opens up a conversation. So you'll find that kind of within threads, connected to some content. So you go, okay, that's great. Now you've clearly watched that, you've learned, you've opened up a conversation, and I absolutely love that. And the fact that people will watch this and then share it, and they'll kind of tag their friends and say, you need to see this, and sometimes a bit tongue-in-cheek as well. But it's just lovely that they've kind of got, we've created an environment where we can open up these kind of conversations. It's great.
Yeah, and I guess especially for Krispy Kreme, seeing as you are also diverse, working in like the factory and stores and stuff, it's just a really nice way to create that connection, which I think especially sort of the post-COVID world, with everyone working more remote than ever, is just more relevant.
Massively.
And so powerful.
That was actually one of the things that kind of surprised us most. So once we launched Thrive, we had content for retail, we had content for manufacturing, etc. But the amount of people who worked in retail, but then they were watching logistics related content and going, oh, that's how you put donuts in the cabinets in the supermarkets and things. So clearly this kind of eagerness to just explore just kind of see what happens in other sides of the business. again, without any prompting, it's just that, being inquisitive, but, Thrive supports that. So
yeah, I love that. Cool. Okay. And then I think the other thing that I just wanted to touch on in this sort of side of the platform is the explore section. So I know this is like the library area for you guys and for your colleagues to explore, but it'd be really good just to hear how you decided to kind of set this up and how you're using it for your colleagues.
Yeah, so I guess I was asked the question the other day that, is Thrive kind of a resource tool, i.e., is it a place where we can just store documents? And in my opinion, yes, absolutely, because sometimes it might become part of a pathway, which we've seen, but I think it's just so easy to kind of navigate as well. So really, this is just a way of being able to kind of group content, again, all of this editable and changeable. So we just kind of wanted to hit some of our main areas, so logistics, manufacturing, then also kind of dedicate create your path, so a sort of personal development section there. And then particularly kind of coming out of COVID, mental health and well-being was a real kind of top agenda point for us, so really wanted to begin to have some content that kind of filtered into there as well. It's just been a way of structuring it, which we've not had before. We've kind of come from a world of pretty old school shared drives on, as part of our intranet, which, just very clunky and duplicated, whereas this is a lot easier to navigate, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to pause there. We've still got a couple of bits we want to cover in the platform later on, but I can just see that there's been quite a few questions and conversation in the chat. So I thought now would be a good time to pause and put a few of those to you, Alex. Perfect. So one of the questions is, do you have any advice to encourage user-generated content?
Yeah. So, I mean, we pushed that idea quite heavily when we launched. So through conversations with Thrive, we were sort of told that user-generated content would come, but it would come eventually. Once people had sort of got comfortable with the system and maybe seen a manager or something, upload something. But we actually ran a competition as part of our launch to really encourage user-generated content. So the winner of the best user-generated content got an iPad, but we kind of felt like pushing that early and bringing that in as, this is the whole point of Thrive, and running it as a competition kind of kick-started that for us. And then since then, for example, Tammy uploads a video of latte art, that then kind of influences friends and peers to do the same, and it's kind of then had a knock-on effect. So yeah, that's probably the way I'd go about that.
Great, good answer, love that. Another question we've had is, when people are loading documents, how do you manage content being kept up to date? Do you guys have a process for that at all, Alex?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, and I guess actually, it's your L&D mind goes, great, a platform where everyone can upload something. Now, obviously, that does then come with, a little bit of management as well. I think considering the amount of engagement for our site is pretty high, we as an L&D team are still, able to kind of manage content that's uploaded. We're also able to kind of through the system as well, you're able to bring in that expert in the comments as well, and kind of, you could check and go, just checking with an expert that this is accurate and up to date. Once you've uploaded something as well, it's dead easy to just replace the file as well, so you don't have to take the whole thing off and put it back in again. So we've got content that quite regularly updates, or there's new versions of, so replacing the file is literally a 2-second job. So yeah, it's pretty easy and very manageable, I'd say.
Cool, thanks, Alex. Just a couple of other quick questions which I can answer. So Helen, you've asked about screen recording. Is this built in? It's not something that's built into Thrive, but during the implementation process, our specialists will be on hand to provide recommendations and suggestions of the best ways and tools and other sort of platforms that you can use to create content for screen recording and videos and all of that best practice. So we offer lots of advice and things there. And do you have the concept of milestones built into your pathways? That's a question from Krishna. I suppose it depends sort of what you're talking about in terms of milestones there, but you can break down pathways. So you can have a pathway within a pathway, so that once someone's completed that sort of secondary pathway, it will be ticked off and you can have that as a milestone. Do you guys manage anything like that, Alex? Do you have milestones or anything built into your pathways?
Not at the moment. I think I wonder if maybe the question is relating really to, or almost like a sign off, to say, or pass probation or something like that. I know that's something that Thrive are looking at. I'm not sure I could add anything more than what you have there, Georgina.
Yeah, Krishna, I'm more than happy to have a chat to you offline about that in a bit more detail. If there's sort of a specific use case, so do feel free to just get in touch. Okay, so if anyone has got any other questions or anything else, I can see a few more coming in, which we will definitely answer. So please do keep them coming. But we're just going to move on to the next part of this session, which I think is really exciting thing to talk about, which is actually how you launched your platform, Alex, and what that involved. And Kevin, hopefully this will answer some of your question about how you ensure a successful implementation for a distributed population. So I'm just going to move back to some slides, which we have covered. And Alex, if you could, just talk us through how you launched Thrive and what that sort of initial activity was to get started.
Yeah, so I kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier, but we were really keen to kind of build up the energy and get people have a reason or sort of have to get onto the site. So we wanted to create these competitions. So we ran 4, but the competitions were all linked to almost like different features that you had in Thrive. So one week, for example, was the best question. So showed you the questions block a little bit earlier. So the best question kind of won an iPad. And then one week was all around user-generated content. So it was kind of a way of introducing the features, but then also, as I say, kind of bringing people onto the site in order to view the competition, but then to enter, they then had to kind of interact with Thrive. So we're sort of learning at the same time as entering the competition, which is great. And then even down to, the winners, for example, were always announced through Thrive. So we'd do, like a big kind of video announcement of the winner, and then that would spark people going congratulations, and that kind of comment thread kicking off as well. So yeah, competitions was I think made it successful in terms of getting people activating their accounts really early on. But I think our learning influencers were a huge part of that as well. So we were really conscious to not just have this as a solely L&D project, that this is something that we're working on and we'll deliver to you once ready. So really kind of early on in the implementation, we brought on board what we referred to as learning influencers, and they were sort of kind of senior figures or just genuinely influential people within Krispy Kreme that we knew could influence those around them to kind of use Thrive to get on and actively use it as well. We gave the influencers a session sort of around a week before we launched on how to use it. So again, that could kind of kickstart them uploading some content, sharing content, liking it, and begin to bring it to life almost as quickly as we turned it on for everybody else. And then, yeah, this idea, again, it was a competition that we ran, but of user generated content. And it didn't take much persuasion other than the competition to really get our guys uploading their own content. They were more than happy to, which is
love a competition,
which is absolutely amazing. And everything there is tagged as well, so super easy to find. And we kind of had a tag that we attached to the competition, which was Thrive is Live, and to enter you had to kind of add that tag to your piece of content. But yeah, those definitely went some way to making it a successful launch.
Yeah, I love that. And I guess the success of the launch is just seen by the stats and results that you got from that period of time when you first launched. So over 30,000 content views, over 1,700 likes of content, and 430 comments just in those initial couple of weeks when you first launched is amazing. So were you guys pleased with that, and how did that sort of compare to your previous LMS?
Yeah, I think that's for me, I think that's the point. With our previous LMS, we just didn't have that, and it just shows how much the team were screaming out for a platform like this. That as soon as we turned it on, it just kind of went crazy within those first couple of weeks. And I have to say, it surprised me. I thought it would be, I thought it would be successful, and I knew people would engage with it, but I didn't quite appreciate how many content views and likes and comments we would get, particularly within those initial few weeks. It was pretty amazing, but it just shows that there was a definite need and want there for a platform like this. Yeah,
amazing. So Kevin, hopefully that helps answer your question about sort of ensuring you have a successful launch. And that's how Krispy Kreme did it. So sorry, I've skipped too far ahead there with the slides. But Alex, there's a couple of other questions that we want to sort of put to you and discuss, and there's still a few more coming in on the chat and the Q&A, so everyone please do just keep them coming. One question from Kimberly is, has this replaced your formal communication strategy? So do you push out strategic initiatives through this medium, franchisor to franchisee launches, etc.?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. We have had conversations about that. Does it replace our, become our kind of communications tool? At the moment for us, no. We still have a HRIS system which has a news feed, and that is currently where people would go to get the kind of central news from the company. We are in talks about it, and to be honest, it's such a useful tool. And for me, the fact that I'd love to see communication kind of come through video as opposed to just posts as well. I think there's something a bit more kind of just a bit more real about that as opposed to just reading. Not yet, but it definitely could be used as a communications tool. But for us, not at the moment.
Thanks, Alex. And yeah, just on that, Kimberly, we do have quite a number of clients that use this both for internal comms and for learning, and it's a really, really strong user case. So definitely something we can explore with you if that's something you'd be interested in hearing more about. Okay, a couple of other questions. So what has the learner feedback been like from dispersed teams like retail or manufacturing?
They love it. They absolutely love it. I can't. I'm not. Sorry, I'm not trying to be boastful there, but the feedback is incredible. But almost from all levels as well. So and for different reasons. Kind of at a team member level, they love how social it is. They love that they're able to upload their own content. They love that they're able to, even guys that worked here for sort of 5 years or whatever. They love the fact that they can. And a job that they know inside out, they love that they can kind of go and view videos on their role. But then also for us, there's so much more extra that we've never had before around, health and well-being, for example, but also around personal development as well, which is amazing. And then kind of up through management as well. So some really great, fantastic feedback. Kind of reporting side of it is just so clear and easy. That we now have such great visibility about where we are with training that's happening around Krispy Kreme as well. So yeah, it's gone down extremely well.
That's really good to hear. Okay, and then another couple of questions, which I think actually leads on quite nicely anyway, is to do with the reporting and analytics and what's available in Thrive. So I think it'd be good if we could just start off with the manager dashboard and showcasing how a manager can actually keep on top of their team. So what I'm showing on my screen now is that view, so that manager dashboard view, and this is because I have a couple of two team members in my team. Alex, do you want to just talk us through sort of how you use this to keep on top of your team and the compliance side of things?
Yeah, so this is a view that any manager in the business would have. So you've got direct reports, you'll have the dashboard option, and you'll have this view. So for me, this is a dream. Again, never had this before. So just that kind of real easy visibility of where we're at with assigned training. Now it is for us, compliance, I mentioned earlier, is such a huge part of kind of what we need. It's great that we have this this tool that's there. Real simple kind of log over on the right hand side there of training that's completed, training that's overdue. I can also kind of include my indirect reports as well. So if I manage anyone who themselves has direct reports, I can also toggle that across, and then I can see a wider team or turn that off and just see my immediate team. So it's pretty flexible in that way as well. And I can also just see how active some of my team have been and when they last logged on. Who are my top point scorers? So it's kind of quite a nice way of almost gamifying and adding a bit of competition within your team. So anything that you do on Thrive, uploading content, watching content, for example, will give you points, so you can see who your top point scorers are, but then really drill down into things like overdue training as well, and it will give you a breakdown of who's overdue and in what particular training as well. So yeah, for a manager, this is a kind of one-stop shop for managing your team's training.
Yeah, love that. And also as a manager, you have got these additional tabs, so you can like check in and see any events that your team signed up to. You can assign learning to your direct reports, things like that. So yeah, really, really easy for managers to keep on top of what their team are doing. We do also have a Manager Digest email that goes out weekly to inform managers of how their team are doing and if they've got any overdue learning and things. So that's the support we offer to managers. And then just quickly, in terms of some of the analytics, we've got content analytics and behavior analytics. Alex, I'll hand over to you to just talk about how you use these two sort of areas, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. So again, I'm absolutely amazed that you kind of have this much data at your fingertips. It's amazing. But yeah, even around kind of managing content. So we might upload something and think it's amazing, and then you can kind of dive into some of the stats here and realize that it's not working potentially. You can kind of even go down into the depths of when users are active as well. So when the most amount of users have been logged onto the site, and then if there's something really kind of important that you want to push, you might say, well, so many people, the most amount of people were logged on at 7 o'clock on a Friday, so I'm going to upload my content then. So yeah, just by having this data, it just allows you kind of from an L&D admin perspective to work out what's working, what's not, what's popular, where people are finding the content as well. So yeah, you can kind of tailor then your site to help it work even more effectively, which is amazing.
Yeah, and I think this is the sort of heat map of activity that you just mentioned as well, Alex. So sort of the hot times that people are looking at the platform, which is really useful for pushing out those future campaigns. And do you guys use, I don't know if you do, but do you use the filter with the audience often, where you can have a look how it behaves for different groups of people?
Yeah, so if we have regular meetings with areas, so retail, for example. So I'll always go into that meeting, but filter all of the content, the information that we've got here by that particular area, so we can kind of really drill down as to what's working for those guys and maybe what's not as well. So yeah, again, love that, and you can create all of those audiences again yourself within Thrive, and again, that's a really nice feature of kind of creating those audiences and different populations of employees within your business.
Great, thank you. Okay, we've still got some more questions coming in. So how are you continuing to drive employee engagement to make sure everyone is logging in every day and using the platform?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I think the honest answer is, you launch something like this, you're certainly going to see engagement kind of come up here, but then you are going to see it almost plateau and then maybe come down a little bit as well. It's just sort of the nature of launching anything new, I guess. For us, a really great tool, again, I'm going to come back to the fact that we're not a lazy L&D team, we just are a very small L&D team. So you can actually what's called auto curate content on Thrive as well. So I don't know if you have that as an example, Georgina. If not, I can just kind of talk through it. But quite a lot of the content you see there has been auto created by Anders Pink. So we're able to search for topics that we know are important to our employees, a lot around, for us, kind of well-being at the moment. And then once that happens, it will auto-populate, also generate new content onto the platform. So with pretty minimal effort from a admin point of view, getting new content added on there all the time. We are talking as well about on the success of the competitions we had during launch, whether we bring in something around competitions, but on a more kind of consistent basis as well, to drive up that engagement level. But yeah, certainly around the auto creation is a really great feature for keeping that up.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so another question from Phil. Excuse me. How are you tracking business success of the content and the platform versus just content views and likes?
Yeah, so that's the $1 million question, isn't it? It comes down to is it actually changing? Is it actually changing behaviors? Ultimately, that's what we want to see. And so there are other kind of KPIs for us that that we look at that aren't tracked through Thrive. Maybe it's things like accident rates. It could be things around even just retention as well. But yeah, kind of measuring that ROI is sometimes easy, but sometimes a little bit more challenging in some parts. So we do look at alternative KPIs as well as the data that we have kind of fresh here on Thrive.
Yeah, great answer. And I suppose that's part of the support you get as well with our customer success manager. I think Tracy is your CSM, isn't she, Alex? And
yes, yeah.
You have sort of those quarterly reviews and annual business reviews as well, where it's looking at actually what are those key KPIs that we're going to measure for you, not just in terms of views and things, but your wider business goals. And yeah, that's part of the sort of service that we offer there as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, let me see. I feel like we've had a few more questions. Do you use the concept of storytelling in your content creation?
Oh, very good. Probably not well enough, if I'm honest. So I will just kind of go back to pathways though, because I think kind of almost as part of that feature, you can almost create a bit of a story. I mean, an example I'll give you that we've just kind of made a few tweaks and changes to our onboarding process, which we've communicated out via Thrive pretty recently to our management teams. And that is almost a story, isn't it? That's a story from day zero to whatever your business is, but kind of within that first 90 days, what happens. And again, we've used that pathway feature as that storytelling, as those kind of chapters and kind of milestones as well, I guess. So certainly could be a little bit better at storytelling, but that's on me, I think.
Okay, cool. Okay, how many people had access to Thrive in the first week when you launched, and how many people lie behind those 30,000 views that you got during that launch period?
Oh, I mean, I'm not going to be able to remember the figures off the top of my head. We went for, there are kind of different ways that you can launch. We went effectively big bang, as in let's just turn it on and have everybody access it. So absolutely cannot remember the figures off the top of my head. But certainly within those first couple of weeks, it was it had really shot up. But yeah, I don't know if you have it there.
No, I don't. I was just checking, but I don't think I do. But is it around 1,800 users that you have on the platform now? Is that right?
Yeah, slightly less, about 1,700, but growing by the day. So
so I guess it will have been roughly in that ballpark in terms of users, which I think just highlights how high 30,000 views is if it's around 1,500 users, which is cool. Very impressive. Okay, and a couple of other questions. So as you've mentioned, you're a small L&D team. So how did you prepare for the launch of Thrive? And what did the resource and time take that it was kind of taking out of your team to get that launched and set up?
Yeah, so I mean, I can only talk from our own sort of personal experience, which was I was really keen that once we launched Thrive, we had almost I wanted to have a bit of a minimum target, which was to create content, particularly for our team members, which has been our focus, which was our real focus last year. But for each particular team member role, and there was quite a lot to do there. So there was quite a lot of content that already existed. But as I said earlier, I really wanted to create almost a video. Almost like a video library for each particular role that we had. So I guess it really depends on where you're starting from as a company. If you already have an LMS that's got loads of great content on it, then that's great. You've got a head start. We kind of went through the implementation, and then in the background, we're also creating some content, working with SMEs though as well. So bringing those guys in early. We also had our influencers there to support as well, the launch. But I certainly dedicated the majority of my time to getting it right. But I think it's important that I did. Really wanted it to be a successful launch, which it turned out to be, which is great. And the flip side of it is then it kind of frees you up once it's there and once it's live, and it becomes that tool that you can kind of point people towards. So it's like any system that you're implementing, it's of course a bit of work, but I think one thing that I didn't appreciate, which was a massive help, was the support that Thrive give you as well. I sort of assumed that, and it was my first implementation of any system, so I sort of assumed we'd get the keys and they go, right, see you then and all the best. But I didn't appreciate we'd have kind of weekly catch-ups, but then ad hoc phone calls, emails as well to support the implementation and kind of really challenge us to think about what we wanted from it as well, which really helped us, to be honest. So yeah,
that's really good to hear. Okay, and then another question, which I must admit, I don't know the full meaning of this, Alex, so maybe you do. Okay. But do you accompany any of your training with dynamic content around the points you mentioned, like compliance or anything like well-being at work? And if you do you find it helps drive engagement in that area?
Sorry, I don't know if that person's on the call, then I don't I don't know. I'd need a bit more explanation as to what you're after there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Lizzie, if you want to just expand on that in terms of the dynamic content and what that question is, we'll try and come back to it. Okay, another question. Is there any functionality for coaching and mentoring built in, capturing feedback notes to ensure real-time feedback to the front line? So I was just going to say, there isn't any specific functionality for coaching and mentoring. A couple of things that I think really helps with sort of the coaching and mentoring is that ability to find the experts and to connect with people across the organization in a social manner. And then obviously people can post things on Thrive. You can just post that to your manager. So it could be a video, for example, and then your manager could use the comments area for feedback. You can restrict content in terms of visibility. So if you wanted to, post something to get feedback on privately, you absolutely can do that. And then I think that's quite sort of timely with some of the features that we're building at the moment, which is it's categorized as our skills and outcomes feature. So it's quite a big piece of work where we're going to be looking at skills mapping and goal setting and mapping out those journeys of the career paths and things like that. And as part of that, a new content type that we'll be having in Thrive will be a task where someone can submit something. A manager can set a task, someone can submit evidence as part of that. So it could be like a video or, an article or something that's written, whatever that looks like. And then a manager can provide feedback on that as well. So that's how I would tackle it. Alex, do you have any other suggestions, or is there anything you're using that I've not touched on there?
No, again, it's about you've already touched upon it really, but about that, the managers having access to be able to kind of assign content as well. So I don't think a system like this would ever take away from a proper face-to-face chat with somebody, and particularly your team when it comes to kind of coaching and mentoring. But it's then the kind of great follow-up tool to go, as we discussed, here's something you might find useful, and be able to assign it to or send it to that person. So yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, a few other questions as well. So what's been the biggest change for you personally and your team since you launched Thrive compared to what you did or had previously?
Yeah, so well, certainly for me is visibility. So the fact that I had the ability to go on, look at an audience or a population within Krispy Kreme, understand where they're at with training, or breaking it down by looking at the behaviours of what's working and what's not. All from kind of a central location is amazing. So it's the ability to have that visibility is absolutely the biggest thing, and it just enables you to then kind of drill down into, okay, maybe we might have a problem there. We need to focus there a little bit more. But in the past we've just never had that. So for me, that's certainly the biggest thing.
Okay, cool. So Lizzie has expanded to say that dynamic content is content that auto updates. So for example, content from the web. So I suppose her question is, do you use that sort of content around things like compliance or well-being at work? And do you find that it helps drive engagement in that area?
Content from the web, yeah?
Yeah, so content that will automatically update.
Oh, I see. Okay. So we don't necessarily use it for that at the moment. We try and make as much as possible anything that's kind of compliancy pretty tailored to Krispy Kreme or a specific job role. So at the moment we use it for more things around customer service, for example, and particularly like you can see there, kind of well-being. I think there are some some kind of food safety points and things that are included in Anda's pink. So, if you wanted to bring that side into it as well, then there's a lot of content there. So I'm sure you'd absolutely find something that would suit you.
Cool. Okay. So I think there's just one more question that's just come in. Do you think the platform could be used for pulse surveys and garnering opinion using polls, etc.? So do you guys use that at all, Alex?
We don't at the moment. No. I think you can certainly embed something into the platform as a link, so it could still be how you get to that. But we don't use it for kind of engagement pool surveys at the moment. No.
Yeah. And I know just on that point, we have got quite a few customers who do use it for that. We've got some who run like campaigns around surveys. If they're doing quarterly feedback surveys or annual, they will push it out via campaigns. So that can really help gain engagement and get people to fill them in and maximize the results on that. So definitely can be used for that. And we do have customers who use it in that way. We've also got customers who, as part of their launch campaign, they might include a question such as like, what would you like to see in the future from this platform? What content would you like to see? So that's quite a good way to just get people to input into what they want from the platform in the future as well. So definitely lots of ways you can use it for that. Okay, I think we're nearing time. So if anyone has got any final questions, now is the time to answer them, and I will see if we have time to get to it. But I just quickly wanted to touch on our Content Club offering, which Alex mentioned is what they were using originally before they took the platform. And this service offering has evolved quite a bit. So we now have over 500 resources available that are all bite-sized, off the shelf, and they come in multiple formats. So we have things like short videos, animations, e-learning, quizzes, etc. And this is our club hub that I'm just showing on my screen now. So this is where you can go to shop essentially and have a look at all of the content that we've got available. And it's just worth noting, we do focus very much on campaigns and pathway-led learning, which hopefully from what you've seen today is also mirrored very much in our LXP. So you get lots of free resources here available to support that. So we've got campaigns where you have suggestions for campaigns that you can run on either our platform or any other platform that you use. You can take all of this ready to go. And again, we have pathways on things like empathy, healthy you, healthy mind. Again, it's all just curated, ready for you guys to pick this up and take it away into your own platform or into Thrive. So if anyone's interested in hearing more about either the LXP, what we've discussed today, or our Content Club, then please do just reach out to myself. My email is georgina.newton@thrivelearning.com. And you can also get me on LinkedIn, just Georgina Newton. And Alex, are you happy for people to get in touch with you if they've got any more sort of direct questions for you?
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
And is the best way to contact you on LinkedIn?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Brilliant. So please do feel free to reach out to us if you've got any further questions. The recording will be shared as well with everyone who has joined today and signed up. So that will be sent across as soon as it's ready. And if anyone is interested in joining us on our second product tour tomorrow, which is much more around the Content Club, which I just touched on, but we'll be going into a lot more detail and hearing from the likes of DPD and Gym Group, then please do join us tomorrow. I think Rich has just put the link in the chat so you can sign up to that directly. Thank you so much, Alex. You were brilliant. It was really, really great to have you on board today. So thank you.
No worries. Thanks for having me. Thanks, everybody.
And thank you, everyone, for joining. All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.